Alert, GloRilla is dead. And the whole world just watched it happen. No, this isn't clickbait. No, it's not a twisted music video rollout. This is real footage, and it shows a screaming, unarmed black woman being slammed, choked, and dragged lifeless by a swarm of cops. While bystanders begged for her life, what started as a routine arrest turned into a modern-day lynching, caught in 4,000 and dumped online like it was nothing. No badge numbers, no mercy. Just blood on the concrete and a viral video the internet can't unsee. And here's the real question. Was this a setup from the start? Because GloRilla wasn't resisting. She wasn't armed. She wasn't even speaking. So why was she treated like a threat? Why is the body cam footage mysteriously missing? And why are officers still on payroll while her fans are burying a future icon? This isn't just a tragedy, it's a public execution, broadcast live. And if you think this is just about weed, attitude, or rap lyrics, you haven't seen what we're about to expose. Stay close. This ain't a story. It's a state-sponsored takedown. So let's set the scene. A Memphis afternoon, hot, sticky, and laced with tension you could cut with a taser. GloRilla, yes, that GloRilla, the FNF, Grammy-nominated, TikTok-dominating Hood Cinderella was minding her business outside her rented mansion in Buckhead when 6 patrol cars showed up like they were pulling up on a hostage situation. No warrant, no explanation. Just sirens, egos, and camera-ready violence, and before her fans even had time to guess if this was a music video or a prank, GloRilla was pinned to the ground, face down, yelling, "I can't breathe," while an officer pressed his full weight on her neck. Sound familiar? Yeah, because we've seen this movie before, except this time, the lead actress had platinum plaques and tour dates. But hold up, what triggered this madness? Allegedly, a neighbor claimed she was yelling too loudly outside her own home. That's it, yelling, not shooting, not stealing, not driving drunk through a daycare, just using her voice. Within minutes, it escalated from a noise complaint to what the cops called non-compliance. A term they apparently toss around every time a black woman doesn't immediately fall to her knees and say, "Yes, sir," and "baby." That's when things went nuclear. Body cams mysteriously cut out mid-scuffle. Surveillance footage from nearby houses confiscated. The only reason we even know what happened is because a 17-year-old TikToker across the street caught the whole thing live from his bedroom window, and that shaky, pixelated footage is now the most downloaded clip on the dark web. In the viral video, we hear GloRilla scream not in rage, but in fear. She's pleading for someone to call her lawyer. She says, "I didn't do nothing but be famous while black," and "baby," that one line? That's the quote that will haunt this nation for years. But wait, it gets worse. While she was being slammed to the ground, an officer smiled into someone's phone camera, smiled like it was a skit, like it was content. That same officer, identified by internet sleuths as Officer Brady Wiles, has a history of excessive force complaints, 14 to be exact. And guess what? Every single one got swept under the rug like last season's. Cancelled INFLUENCERS. Oh, and get this, another officer at the scene? He was wearing a body cam that was accidentally deactivated during the altercation. Accidentally, you know? The same way milk accidentally spills after you throw it across the room. These cops didn't come to de-escalate, they came ready for combat. And they brought their cameras too, just not for justice. Now let's talk about the crowd. Within 4 minutes, fans, neighbors, and paparazzi swarmed the street. People were recording, people were screaming, and yet not one officer backed down. Because in their eyes, GloRilla wasn't a person, she was a problem. And they handled her like one. At exactly 3:47 p.m., she stopped moving, and they still didn't stop. They cuffed her limp arms. They shoved her into the back of the car like a trash bag. No CPR, no ambulance, no humanity. And just when you think this can't get any more disgusting, the official police statement comes out 45 minutes later and says, the suspect resisted arrest. Officers used standard procedures to detain her. No injuries reported. At the scene, excuse me, no injuries? We watched her eyes roll back in real time. The world saw her body go limp like a puppet with cut strings. And somehow, this department still had the audacity to gaslight the entire internet? Nah, not this time, because unlike 2014, unlike 2020, we got cameras, receipts, satellite imagery, drone angles, and Twitter FBI agents decoding everything in real time. And baby, the truth? It's uglier than anyone imagined. As the clip continued to circulate, celebrities started speaking out. Cardi B tweeted, "This is beyond disgusting. If they can do this to her, they can do it to any of us." Megan Thee Stallion posted a black screen with the word silenced. Even Beyoncé's publicist dropped a statement that said, "Enough is enough," but it wasn't just celebs. Every day, people flooded the streets in protest. Justice for Glo hashtag started trending globally. Fans lit candles outside of every arena she performed in. Her latest single shot to #1 on Apple Music within 2 hours, not because of promotion, but because people wanted to hear her voice one more time. By midnight, GloRilla's team released a gut-wrenching statement. "We lost our sister, our light, our leader, to the very system that claims to protect us." GloRilla was not just a rapper, she was a revolution. And as if that wasn't enough to break the world's heart in half, her mother came forward and said she was just about to announce her pregnancy. Yeah, you read that right. The woman they crushed to death in the street was pregnant. And nobody knew until it was too late. Let that sink in. This wasn't just excessive force. This wasn't even manslaughter. This was murder with a badge, because right after the news broke, the leaks started rolling in, and baby, it wasn't just rumors. We're talking screenshots, dispatch recordings, and a Reddit thread so detailed it made the Pentagon nervous. Turns out, this might not have been a random act of police brutality. This was a hit. A coordinated, camera off, paperwork cleared, make her disappear kind of hit. Now let's break down the evidence the internet dragged out in less than 12 hours, because the feds might be asleep, but the comment section is wide awake with a magnifying glass. First up, an internal police memo allegedly dated 3 days before the arrest. In it, a supervisor warns of a high-risk public figure residing in the area who poses a cultural influence threat. Excuse me, what now? Since when is going viral and wearing bundles a threat to national security? Well, apparently, GloRilla's music, her platform, and most importantly, her political tweets had some people shook. She recently posted, "The revolution won't be televised, but it damn sure will be live streamed." Now, why would that tweet end up flagged in a DHS briefing? Why would a local sheriff's office hold a meeting on handling high-profile social unrest 24 hours before she was murdered in the street? And here's where it gets even more twisted. A whistleblower, claiming to be an intern from the precinct, anonymously posted a thread titled, "Y'all, they were told not to let her speak to the media alive." Yes, read that again. According to the intern, 2 officers were overheard joking about how quick it would be to neutralize a loudmouth rapper, and the order allegedly came from way above local jurisdiction. Now, we're not saying the FBI orchestrated this, but let's just say some 3-letter agencies have been real quiet since this hit the fan. But if that's not enough to make you clutch your lace front, let's talk about the van that was spotted circling her house 3 nights in a row leading up to the arrest. Yup, a blacked-out Ford Econoline with tinted windows, no plates, and a Wi-Fi antenna on the roof. Locals say it didn't move for hours. It just sat there, watching, surveilling. One neighbor told local news it wasn't Amazon. It wasn't Uber. That van didn't belong. I told my husband, that's the kind of van they kidnap celebrities in. Well, turns out she might have been right. Because inside sources now claim GloRilla was being watched, recorded, and digitally tracked in the weeks leading up to her arrest. Not for a warrant, not for a charge, but for pattern disruption. Whatever that means, now let's pivot to the police union response, which, brace yourself, was somehow even more offensive than the murder itself. Their official statement: "We regret the outcome of the arrest, but urge the public to refrain from speculation." Miss Woods had a history of erratic behavior and known affiliations that required elevated caution. Hold up, known affiliations? You mean her tour dancers? Or maybe her beautician squad? Because last time we checked, GloRilla wasn't moving bricks, she was moving units. Billboard units. But of course, that statement was enough to trigger racist dog whistles across the media, with conservative outlets calling her volatile, aggressive, and wait for it, a danger to traditional family values. Oh. But we're not done. Let's talk about the fake toxicology report that leaked the next morning. It claimed GloRilla had traces of PCP in her system. Lies. First of all, her team immediately dropped the receipts, a verified doctor's report from 24 hours before the arrest, a clean blood panel. No drugs, no alcohol, no substances. So where'd the PCP come from? Or better question, who planted that lie? Who wanted the world to believe she was crazy instead of victimized? The smear campaign didn't just stop at the coroner's office. Oh no. It reached her label too. Sources say her record deal is now under review. Her marketing team has gone silent. Her publicist was fired. The girl is dead and they're still treating her like a liability. Even worse, leaked emails show her tour sponsor pulled out before the arrest happened, meaning they knew this was coming. They pulled funding, rerouted the tour buses, and canceled her Vogue cover interview before her body hit the concrete. Meanwhile, the video that started it all is being pulled from every major platform. YouTube strikes, TikTok removals, Instagram reels vanishing like it's 1984, only reposts remain cut, blurred, and shadow banned because they don't want you to see what they did. They don't want you to see a black woman's final breath as it's snatched away by a system built to silence her. But guess what? We saw it. We saw her trying to scream. We saw her body go still. We saw the officer whisper, "She's done," like he just took out the trash. And the internet? The internet never forgets. This isn't just a scandal. It's a blueprint. A digital execution masked as law enforcement. A hit job with paperwork, and now the people are rising. The Memphis PD went into total lockdown. Phones disconnected. Headquarters barricaded. Social media pages wiped clean. Why? Because someone leaked the unthinkable internal documents? Stamped classified, showing a coordinated federal and local task force assigned to monitor, suppress, and dismantle rising cultural agitators in urban sectors? Translation: if you're black, loud, and loved, you're a target. And guess whose name was number 3 on that list? GloRilla, right under community influence, tier risk level elevated. Let's pause. You mean to tell me this 24-year-old girl from North Memphis who just wanted to rap, throw on lashes, and buy her mama a house was labeled a national threat? And this wasn't just a theory now. The leaked doc included timestamps, budget allocations, and even removal scenarios. Oh yes, they had protocols for every kind of incident. Traffic stops, domestic disputes, no-knock late-night raids, and worst of all, public confrontation leading to lethal force. Guess which box got checked? As protests erupted in New York, Atlanta, Chicago, and Johannesburg, the government tried to throw water on the fire. The president released a tone-deaf statement. While we mourn the loss of any citizen, we urge the public to remain calm and trust the justice system. Trust the same system that let this happen? Yeah, okay. Meanwhile, every agency involved began passing the blame like a blunt at a trap party. The Memphis PD said it was a joint op. The Joint Op Task Force said it was state-initiated. The state said it was a local miscommunication and Homeland Security. They just went ghost, but not everyone stayed quiet. A former Memphis city official, who chose to stay anonymous, went on a live stream with a pixelated face and dropped this bombshell. This wasn't an accident, it was an example. GloRilla represented too much power too fast. They needed to remind everyone who's really in charge. Let that sink in, because behind the hashtags and headlines, this wasn't just about one woman, it was about the fear of what she represented. Authenticity, autonomy, uncontrolled black joy. And apparently that joy was too dangerous. But here's where the twist gets criminal. Her death certificate? Forged. 2 separate coroners, one private, one state-sanctioned, listed different times of death. One says she died at the scene, the other in custody during transport. So, which is it? Because if she was Dead at the scene, why did body cam footage later show a female officer whispering, "Just say she passed in the vehicle"? Why was a mysterious SUV spotted picking up a black duffel bag from the medical examiner's office after midnight? Oh, and don't even ask about the missing autopsy photos. Apparently, the files were corrupted. Convenient, right? Now, let's talk about the money, because if you think this was all about power, follow the dollar signs. The city of Memphis was set to sign a $50 million contract with a private tech firm specializing in facial recognition and urban compliance. Prediction. GloRilla had recently spoken out against that same tech, calling it a trap to track and terrorize us. She was planning a press conference the week of her death. She was planning a documentary. She was planning a movement, but what she got was a funeral. The fallout? Devastating. Sponsors pulled out of local law enforcement deals. The mayor faced an emergency recall. Petition signed by over 300,000 people overnight. GloRilla's label filed a wrongful death lawsuit for $100 million, citing state-sponsored murder. And activists demanded an independent tribunal separate from U.S. courts, calling it a violation of international human rights. The global press picked it up. BBC, Al Jazeera, France 24, even Vogue Italia, because this wasn't just news. This was a culture quake. And then came the kicker. A second video leaked. One we weren't supposed to see. It wasn't from the TikToker. It wasn't from a neighbor. It came from inside a cop's dashboard cam, a backup device that was never wiped. In it, you hear a voice say, "That's what happens when you get too loud. Let the others watch. Let the others watch. That's not justice. That's a message." And baby, the message was received, because now the streets are on fire. Not just with protest signs, but with purpose. Murals of GloRilla are going up in cities worldwide. Her lyrics are being chanted in protests. One preacher said she died with a mic in her heart. And somehow, even in death, she's louder than ever. Her last music video, uploaded posthumously. It ends with a black screen that reads, "You can kill the rapper, but you can't silence the song." Boom. So now that you know the truth, what are you gonna do? Are we just letting another black icon get murdered, erased, and blamed for her own death? Or are we finally gonna hold the system accountable for the bodies it buries behind badges and paperwork? Drop your thoughts in the comments, no filter. Share this video before they take it down. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button, because trust me, this ain't the last lie we're exposing. GloRilla's voice may be gone, but we are the echo. Stay loud, stay woke, stay dangerous.